The surprising effects on the prostate in older men who privately relieve their needs on a daily basis. It's a subject many men don't talk about openly, especially as they get older. Yet behind closed doors, in quiet moments, a habit continues. One that's often surrounded by uncertainty, silence, and even guilt. But what really happens to a man's body when he masturbates daily, especially past the age of 40? Many men over the age of 40 continue to masturbate regularly. Some say it helps them sleep better, others believe it improves mood and keeps their energy in check. And a growing number of studies suggest it may play a role in supporting prostate health, possibly even helping to prevent prostate enlargement. But just as many others wonder, could doing it every day be harmful? Could this quiet, personal habit be silently disrupting your hormonal balance, or worse, damaging the very gland it's supposed to help? This question might seem simple, even awkward, but the truth is, it opens a door into a web of deeply biological and deeply personal changes that most men never think about. Changes that are happening silently, every day. The prostate is a small gland located just below the bladder. Though it's only the size of a walnut, it plays a massive role in a man's life. It produces the fluid that nourishes sperm and supports fertility, but its influence extends beyond reproduction. The prostate also affects how you urinate, how you feel in your pelvic region, and how comfortable your lower body is day to day. And here's the hard truth: if it's not properly cared for, if this small gland is overlooked or neglected, it can slowly become congested, inflamed, or enlarged over time. And the symptoms? They start subtly. You wake up at night more often. You feel like you didn't completely empty your bladder. There's a dull ache you can't quite explain, and eventually it gets worse. In this video, we'll take a close and honest look at 3 specific changes that occur in the prostate when you masturbate daily. These aren't guesses or internet myths. They're based on biological principles, long-term clinical observations, and real patient experiences. And most importantly, the third change we'll discuss, if fully understood, can help prevent the kinds of prostate issues that too many men don't notice until it's already too late. So if you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, and you've ever wondered whether your private habits are helping or hurting your prostate, this is for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you stay updated on meaningful, no-nonsense men's health content. And if you've ever had questions about this topic, whether you're embarrassed or just curious, leave a comment below. You're not alone, and chances are someone else has wondered the same thing. To answer this question accurately, we can't just rely on assumptions or personal opinions. We need to look directly at the body, at biology, specifically at 3 key mechanisms that are affected by daily masturbation and how they influence the prostate's health over time. Here is 3 biological mechanisms affected by daily masturbation. Many people ask, if daily masturbation is supposedly bad, then why does the body seem to crave it so regularly, like clockwork? It's a good question. The answer lies not in emotion or morality, but in biology. The body isn't irrational. It operates through signals, chemical, hormonal, and mechanical ones, and the prostate is no exception. What you feel as a desire isn't just psychological. It's often your body's way of maintaining a rhythm, a flow, a release that serves a deeper function. Let's start with the first mechanism: hormones. When a man reaches orgasm, something subtle but powerful happens inside his bloodstream. One of the hormones, called DHT, short for dihydrotestosterone, drops temporarily. DHT is essential for male development. It helps define deep voice, body hair, and sexual function. But in high, sustained levels, it's also known to contribute to prostate enlargement. That's where regular ejaculation comes in. Every time you release, your DHT levels are momentarily reduced. This break in hormonal intensity gives the prostate a chance to rest, offering relief from prolonged DHT stimulation. In this way, regular release may actually help balance hormonal stress on the gland. But here's the other side of the coin. If the frequency is too high, if a man ejaculates every day without enough recovery, those constant hormonal shifts can actually backfire. The body's endocrine axis, which regulates hormones, may become destabilized, especially in men approaching andropause, the male version of menopause. That means your natural testosterone levels might begin to fluctuate or drop unnaturally. You might start feeling more tired, irritable, or notice changes in libido that don't feel normal. In short, balance is key. Not too much, not too little. Now, the second mechanism involves muscles and blood flow. Yes, physical movement, deep, inside your body. Every time a man ejaculates, it triggers muscular contractions in the pelvic floor, the perineum, and the prostate itself. These contractions aren't random. They help pump blood, circulate nutrients, and cleanse internal tissues. Think of it as a massage for your internal organs. When done in moderation, these contractions support healthy metabolism in the gland, keep the tissue elastic, and help the prostate resist hardening over time. Good blood flow also means more oxygen reaches the gland, helping cells stay healthy, repair themselves, and fight off minor inflammation naturally. But again, there's a flip side. If those pelvic muscles are overstimulated from constant daily release, especially without physical activity to counterbalance them, it can lead to muscle fatigue and chronic pelvic tension. You may start noticing a feeling of tightness or discomfort in the groin, trouble controlling your bladder, or even a subtle pressure that won't go away. This is especially true in older men whose muscle recovery times are slower. Finally, we come to the third and most overlooked mechanism, the immune response. The prostate isn't just a gland, it's a zone of localized immune activity. In fact, it's one of the body's natural filters, helping to trap and remove dead cells, excess proteins, and byproducts of metabolism. Under healthy conditions, these waste materials are partly expelled through ejaculation, which acts as a natural cleansing process. That's why occasional healthy release can help lower the risk of chronic inflammation inside the prostate. But if a man doesn't allow his body enough recovery time between cycles of release, that immune response can become dysregulated. What does that mean? It means the body may struggle to clear waste efficiently. Instead of cleaning itself out, the prostate starts to collect residual material. That creates low-level irritation, a kind of silent inflammation that doesn't show up easily on scans or tests. What many men experience as a dull heaviness in the pelvic area, frequent urges to urinate, or the sensation of not fully emptying the bladder can all be traced back to this low-grade irritation. These changes aren't theoretical. I've seen them play out in real lives, in real clinics, in real men. Some maintained a consistent habit and enjoyed stable health. Others ignored their body's signals, overdid it, or abstained for years, and paid the price through persistent, uncomfortable symptoms. Let me tell you about one such man, because his story reveals just how quietly these changes can build up over time. Let me tell you about one such man, because his story reveals just how quietly these changes can build up over time. I once worked with a patient named David, a 65-year-old man who had spent most of his life as a construction site supervisor in Nevada, a hard-working, no-nonsense man who had always taken pride in his strength and stamina. He had led teams, lifted heavy loads, worked in desert heat for decades, and rarely got sick. In his words, I was the guy people relied on. I never had time to be tired. But when he came into the clinic, he wasn't that man anymore. He looked tired. His shoulders drooped. There was a quiet discomfort in the way he sat and moved, like something inside him just wasn't right. David complained of frequent nighttime urination, sometimes waking up 2 or 3 times a night. He also had a persistent feeling of incomplete emptying, like his bladder was never fully relieved. And worst of all, a dull, dragging discomfort in his lower abdomen that never quite went away. He said it didn't hurt exactly, but it was always there, like a weight pressing on his insides. He told me, "Doc, I used to feel like a man. Now I just feel off. Not sick, just not myself." So we talked. I asked questions. At first, he hesitated, clearly embarrassed. But as the conversation opened up, he shared something deeply personal. For nearly 10 years, he had completely stopped all sexual activity, including masturbation. Not because of medical issues, but because he thought it was no longer necessary. After turning 55, he believed that part of life was behind him. And because of social stigma, he felt awkward and ashamed even bringing it up. He'd pushed it aside, pretending it didn't matter. His words stuck with me. "I thought it was just something you grow out of," he said. "I didn't know ignoring it could affect my health." After running a full physical exam, including a prostate ultrasound, we found that his prostate had mildly enlarged. His PSA levels, a marker for prostate health, were above the recommended range, and the gland tissue showed signs of mild swelling and irregular texture. It wasn't cancer. It wasn't even a severe condition yet, but it was a clear warning that his prostate was struggling from years of being ignored, understimulated, and untended. Together, we created a simple, non-invasive plan. No drugs, no surgeries, just small, consistent changes. He started light physical activity, walking daily for 20 minutes. He increased his water intake, reduced caffeine, and began taking prostate-supportive supplements. But most importantly, he reintroduced a regular ejaculation routine, just once or twice a week, based on how his body felt. There was no pressure, no shame, just quiet, consistent care. After about 4 months, the difference was remarkable. His PSA levels had slightly decreased. His nighttime urination dropped to just once a night. That dull heaviness in his abdomen, nearly gone. But the biggest change wasn't just physical, it was emotional. He looked lighter, he sat up straighter, he smiled more, and one day he told me something I'll never forget. "I never imagined something this simple, something I used to feel embarrassed about, could change both my body and my mindset so much." David's story is not rare. In fact, it's alarmingly common. Many men between the ages of 50 and 70 fall into the exact same situation. Either they neglect their body entirely, believing their sexual health no longer matters, or they simply don't know what frequency is right for their stage of life. So what is the right balance? How often should you ejaculate to support your prostate without overdoing it or draining your body's energy? This is exactly what we'll break down in the next section. Not guesses, not general advice, but clear, age-specific guidelines rooted in biological rhythms and real-life clinical experience. Recommended frequency by age group 1 of the questions I get asked the most, especially by men over 50, is this: so how many times a week should I masturbate? It's a valid question. It shows that men want to take control of their health, not just let things happen to them. But the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's not about hitting a magic number. It's about understanding your age, your current health condition, and how well your body recovers after each release. That said, we can still provide a general guideline based on clinical observations and recommendations from leading urology experts. These are not just numbers. They're based on how the male endocrine system, prostate function, and muscular recovery behave through the decades of life. Let's break it down by age group, Ina. Men aged 40 to 49 at this stage, most men still have strong hormone levels and a prostate that's generally healthy and elastic. For this group, a frequency of 3 to 4 times per week is generally well tolerated. In fact, consistent ejaculation at this frequency may help regulate DHT levels, support sleep, and even reduce stress-related prostate congestion. The key here is consistency. Skipping weeks and then overcompensating with frequent sessions can be more disruptive than helpful. Spread it out. Listen to your body's response, especially how you feel the next day. Men aged 50 to 59, now the picture begins to change. Testosterone production naturally declines during this decade, and recovery time lengthens. Men in this age group should reduce frequency to around 2 to 3 times per week, but again, it depends on how their body responds. If you feel unusually tired after ejaculation or notice symptoms like urinary hesitation, increased urgency, or discomfort in the pelvic floor, it's a sign you may be overdoing it. Ease up. Allow more time between sessions. Monitor your energy and digestion. They're surprisingly good indicators of how well your endocrine system is recovering. Men aged 60 and above. At this stage, the priority shifts from performance to preservation and regulation. The prostate becomes more vulnerable to inflammation, stiffness, and poor circulation. Ejaculation still plays a role, but now it's more about keeping biological rhythms balanced, circulation steady, and immune drainage active within the gland. Here, once per week is usually enough to maintain these benefits. If your libido remains strong and your energy is stable, twice a week is acceptable. But avoid back-to-back sessions or forcing the body when it's not naturally responsive. Your body is wiser now. It whispers instead of shouting. Pay attention to those whispers. Also remember this: ejaculation alone isn't enough. It should be part of a larger wellness routine that includes light physical activity, especially walking, yoga or pelvic floor exercises, hydration to help flush the urinary tract, nutritional support, zinc, saw palmetto, omega-3s. Regular prostate checkups, especially if you've crossed age 55. The most important principle isn't frequency, it's balance. Don't go too long without activity, allowing the gland to stiffen and congest, but also don't push your body beyond its natural capacity, leading to fatigue, pelvic tension, and hormonal dysregulation. Think of it like watering a plant. Not too little, not too much. The right rhythm creates the best environment for health to grow. And yet, for all this talk of biology, science, and hormones, there's still one major barrier that quietly stops millions of men from taking action on their prostate health. It's not pain, it's not age, it's not even money, it's shame. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next part. Because until we address the psychological barriers that stop men from caring for their sexual health, no number of facts or guidelines will make a real difference. Breaking the silence, the psychological barrier. So far, we've talked about hormones, biology, age, and frequency. But there's still one thing that stands in the way for most men, something stronger than fatigue, more stubborn than inflammation. It's not a physical issue, it's silence. Most men don't lack information, they lack the comfort to talk about it. They're not missing motivation, they're missing permission. Permission to take their needs seriously, permission to speak openly. Permission to admit that yes, even after 50, 60, or 70, they still have sexual needs, still desire intimacy, still deserve it. You see, for generations, men have been told, directly or indirectly, that past a certain age, they're supposed to shut down this part of themselves. That after a certain point, sex is either taboo, indulgent, or immature, and worse, that masturbation, especially after 50, is a sign of loneliness, weakness, or shame. But let's get one thing straight. Masturbating in your 60s or 70s is not shameful. It's biological, it's maintenance, it's health care. Your prostate doesn't care about social pressure, your hormones don't ask what society thinks, and your immune system certainly doesn't care about judgment. I've worked with hundreds of men who suffered quietly, not because their bodies were broken, but because their beliefs were. They thought taking care of themselves in this way was somehow wrong or unnecessary. They believed, falsely, that if you don't talk about it, the problem will go away. But the truth is, silence is not a cure. It's a delay, and sometimes that delay becomes damage. One of my patients, a retired firefighter in his early 70s, told me he had ignored his sexual health for nearly 15 years. He thought being a real man meant pushing through discomfort and never discussing what felt embarrassing. When he finally came in, his prostate was enlarged and his confidence was shaken. He told me something I'll never forget. I thought I was supposed to just let it go, but I didn't realize letting it go meant losing a part of myself. This is not just about biology anymore. It's about identity. Caring for your prostate isn't just about avoiding cancer or keeping your bladder in check. It's about staying connected to yourself, to your vitality, your masculinity, your sense of being alive. And that means accepting one simple truth. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to make your sexual health a priority, and it's okay to talk about it. Even if you've gone years without addressing this area of your life, you can start now. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to explain. You just need to make one quiet decision to stop ignoring your body and start honoring it. Because the men who thrive in their later years aren't the ones who try to stay young forever. They're the ones who adapt, who listen, who show up for themselves, not with ego, but with wisdom. If you've made it this far in the video, I know something about you. You care. You're not here by accident. You're here because something inside you knows that your health matters, not just for today, but for every day ahead. So as we close this video, I want to leave you with one simple thought. Taking care of your prostate is not about fixing a problem. It's about building a future with fewer sleepless nights, a future with more confidence, a future where your body supports your life, not limits it. A personal call to action. Owning your health journey. If you've stayed with me through this entire video, you're not just watching, you're investing in yourself, in your health, in your future. And that tells me something powerful. You're not like most men. Most men ignore the signs. They wait too long. They stay silent until discomfort turns into a diagnosis. But not you. You're showing up now, not just for answers, but for awareness, not just for curiosity, but for courage, because it takes courage to face your body's changes, to ask uncomfortable questions, to explore habits you never talked about before. It takes courage to admit that maybe, just maybe, you need a new kind of care, a quieter care, a more personal care, and let me tell you, that kind of courage, that's rare and it's powerful. So here's what I want you to do next. Wherever you are in life. Start by listening to your body, not just when it screams in pain, but when it whispers for attention. If you're in your 40s, build healthy patterns now. You're in your prime, hormones are strong, recovery is fast. Use this time to set the foundation. If you're in your 50s, adjust. Listen to the signs. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. You're not too old, and it's not too late. You're just at a new stage that requires smarter choices. If you're in your 60s or beyond, don't fade away. Don't let the world convince you that your best years are behind you. They're not. They're just different pace, different rhythm, but still full of purpose. It's not about doing what you used to do. It's about doing what you need to do now, with the wisdom you've earned. If you're struggling with doubt, confusion, or even shame, let it go. You are not alone. Millions of men quietly wrestle with the same questions, the same silence, the same hesitation. But only a few take the first step. you've already taken it. So now, make the next one count. Start a new routine, get your health checked, hydrate more, move more, and yes, include regular healthy ejaculation if your body needs it. Because your prostate is not just a gland, it's a part of your vitality. And your vitality is part of your identity. You owe it to yourself to stay strong. You owe it to yourself to stay aware. You owe it to yourself to stay alive in every sense of the word. And if this video resonated with you, don't just leave it here. Share it with a brother, a friend, or someone you care about. Because real strength isn't just in lifting weights or pushing through pain. Real strength is in conversation. Real strength is in connection. Real strength is in owning every part of your journey with honesty, with pride, and with purpose. So leave a comment below. Let me know your age group and what part of your health you're focusing on right now. I read every comment because this channel isn't just about videos, it's about community. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because the more we talk, the more we grow. The more we learn, the more we live. Remember, your health isn't behind you. It's right here, and it's waiting for you to take the lead. Stay strong. Stay curious, and above all, stay connected to yourself. We'll see you in the next video.